What actually happens when you close a split? Did you close the file or just the pane? Why can two windows show the same file? And if a tab is in a browser tab, then what is it? In the last video we covered buffers. Now we're going to build on that, covering windows and tabs. So let's get into it. Very simply said, again, if I want to go back to the documents, a window is just a viewport on a buffer. That's it. It's basically these splits you have. Like if I do Control W and then S to make a horizontal split, you would see now we have two windows on the left side and a like a bigger window on the right side. One thing to note about windows is that there is no one-to-one mapping between a window and a buffer. What I mean is that multiple windows can show the same buffer simultaneously. And I mean, it's very obvious here. Both windows on the right are showing us the first buffer. And if I do any edits here, like this is a comment, you could see, in both windows, it's getting updated. Now I'll bring in another buffer into like the bottom window just to see how it works. So we have these buffers currently. I will also try this. So if I do okay, so if I do B2, we actually loaded file 2 again. This is also another interesting thing. It's to be expected, right? Because buffer number 2 still exists, at least in terms of its metadata, right? And it's not listed anymore. But when you go to buffer number 2, just like the alternate commands, it loads back that buffer again. And now we have two windows on the left side, each displaying different buffers. Now let me go back to buffer number 1 in the bottom window. One thing I want to point out is that each window, even though they're like in this case, two windows are showing the same buffer, but it's important to know that each window maintains its own independent state, which in this case would be like the cursor position or like scroll position, even though both are showing the same window. So, and we can confirm this very easily with this, that like let's say in the above window we have our cursor in line number 4, or let me even do this. This is another comment, right? Like the position is like in the middle of line number 4. If I do it, if I just switch to the bottom window, we can see it switched to line number 2, right? Each window has a separate state. And if I switch back to the first window, we can see it's going back to the middle, the exact same place. Note that Windows don't have like an ls command or ls window command or whatever. You just don't have that. You could use some stuff through the API, like if I do vim API get current window, for example, it will give us the ID number for the current window, which is one above, and another command just to see how many windows we have active. Is listing windows, and you can see we have 3 ID numbers given back because we have 3 windows in our current session. Now it's time to move up the hierarchy to talk about tabs and see how they work. So when it comes to tabs, right, you have basically the understanding of tabs most people have, including me when I was starting, is like tab is like a page which contains like a file, because I was thinking it in a way that web browsers like Firefox or whatever give you. And the trick is, in Vim you should just kind of ditch that understanding and just like have a new definition of tabs when it comes to Vim. And it basically means a collection of windows with their arrangements and layout, keeping track of how your windows and splits are laid out inside Neovim, and it's nothing more, right? In other words, tabs don't own buffers, and the buffer list is like global across all tabs. And we can confirm this again. Let me first try this new command, tab new. So we now have two tabs, right? This is the first tab and this is the second tab. If I do ls in the second tab, we still have file number 1, even though it's not in this tab. And in fact, it's very interesting that file number 1 is still displayed as active. It's in the active state, and that's because in the first tab there is a window showing it. Like, we're not seeing that window anymore because we're in a different tab. But again, the point I'm trying to make is that like the tabs don't keep track of buffers or the states. It doesn't really matter. Like, buffers in Vim are like having a global persistent state regardless of how many windows or how many tabs you have. And you could see again in this case you have the exact same list of buffers. The only things that change is that we have now a, well, no name buffer with number 12 given to it, and it's active, and it's the current one being edited, because again, when I open the tab, it automatically opens a new buffer. Another thing to further cement like what I'm trying to say regarding tabs, windows and buffers is to again try to list the number of windows we have. You can see we have 4 now, right? Again, like the tabs don't care whether you're in the current tab, like, or let me put it this way, Neovim doesn't care whether you're in tab number 2, tab number 1 or tab number 5. It will always give you the same buffers across the whole session and the whole list of windows across the whole session. And that's why here we have 4 windows, not 1, for example. Right, the previous, like the first 3 are for the previous tab, and this new one that is added and appended at the end of the list is for the current tab right now. Now you might be wondering, what is the point of tabs, or what is a good use case? You kind of make it work however you want. You might not even want to use tabs in general, depending on your own workflow. But for example, you could have tabs to organize, let's say you have like source code files and also like the docs on the right panel in this case, and your other tab you have like your tests, or maybe you're running, I don't know, terminal inside Neovim itself, right, in this case, and you want to switch between these tabs, right? Again, you make it work however you want. Another interesting thing is that like Neovim has this like session management by default. So if you do make session, you also can like save your session inside this Vim file. And if I like quit, I basically save the session, and the session will keep track of the tabs, the buffers, and also the windows. And if I like launch Neovim with the session.vim file here, you actually load back to where you were, right? And here we see we have the exact buffer list that we had before we quitted our Neovim session. So another use case in Vim or Neovim would be just like having persistent layouts and organization when you save it in a Vim file with the built-in like session management tools. And that's the full picture: buffers, windows and tabs, how they actually work and how they relate to each other. One thing worth noting: neither of these 2 videos tried to be a comprehensive command reference. The point was to build the mental model, and I believe the commands are easy to look up and just memorize along the way once you understand what's actually happening underneath. Hopefully, by the end of these videos, you have a clearer picture of how things work. And if you don't, or have any questions or corrections, make sure to leave them in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.